So these are my general theories on forced reps and cheat reps, both of which are advanced training techniques within your toolbox at your disposal as a natural bodybuilder to try to accumulate more muscle. They're set extenders. Forced reps are something you can do with a training partner. Cheat reps are something you can do on your own that more or less you're attempting to achieve the same outcome. Now, forced reps are definitely more effective. They're easier to kind of manage. Cheat reps are very, very exercise dependent, perhaps a little less safe, but still a viable technique for some movements to extend the number of reps you're doing with a positive phase of movement, and also tax the eccentric, the negative phase of movement, a little bit more than you would otherwise be able to with conventional training, because you're always going to bottleneck your eccentric range of motion with your concentric, the positive. Take bench press, for example. Your 5 rep max is 80 kilos. You're never going to fail the negative portion of the lift. You're never going to kind of reach fatigue there with regular training. If you start to notice the negatives kind of speed up, it's through forgetfulness and laziness as opposed to actually fatigue. To enable you to tax that trajectory, that eccentric phase of movement, you're going to use a spot. You're going to have someone spotting you to get that same kind of intensity on the negative as you would with the positive. That's only achievable with positives. You can't do cheat reps on a bench press. Definitely not something I would advise. Let's say back training, for example, the chest supported row. You might find that the first 90% of the trajectory is very easy to do with 80 kilos for 5 reps. But the last 3 inches are very, very difficult. You can only get that weight to sort of there before you have to then go back for another rep. You're unable to get those kind of last 3 inches. Yes, you could do the set at 70 kilos instead, but then you're missing out on that movement there, which you're able to control with 80 kilos. Now, a forced rep will be very, very beneficial in this situation, just to give a little bit of a spot on those last 3 inches so you can complete the rep with the most weight across that fullest range of motion. And again, cheat reps can sometimes be used, or fast reps with a little bit more momentum, more aggressive on the pull phase, to be able to get that weight back into a position where you may be able to kind of dig in a little bit more. But definitely that would work better with force reps. Let's take the bicep curl, for example. You're able with cheat curls to get that weight in a position where you're able to tax that top portion with the biceps really, really under a lot of contraction. You can really feel it when you do cheat curls with more weight than you would otherwise be able to handle. If you're regularly doing sets of 40 kilos for 10 with regular form, then you start throwing in a few more cheat curls after you go for another 5 reps. Suddenly you're doing 15 positives, and you still are under tension for half of that movement at least, but also you're able to tax the negative phase of movement that would not usually be able to be stimulated in any way close to the positive phase of movement if you're stopping the set at 10. So you're really digging in, building up fatigue within that negative phase of movement. That's going to create a lot of extra stress, in my opinion, and it's going to create a lot of muscle mass, I think. So the most optimal way for me personally to be able to train would be able to use a training partner at all times, so I can use him for force reps on any of the sets that I want to, and also, if possible, to use machines, and I know some companies have started making them, that enable you to increase the weight on the negative phase of movement whilst you're actually doing the set. That would be by far the best way of training, because you're going to tax both phases of movement to the fullest potential possible, rather than bottlenecking your eccentric with your concentric strength, which is always going to be weaker. Fatigue's going to set in first, and that would be the best way of training. Let's hope that they can create more pieces of equipment like that and make them readily available in gyms in the UK, because I think that would help build better physiques, definitely as natural bodybuilders.